Hey guys, and welcome back to another Access 72 video, and in today's video I'm back with another interview and I'm here with Ace Adam. Ace, how are we?
I'm fine, thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, mate. Thank you very much for coming on the channel.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
Great, okay, and so am I right in saying you're a 29-year-old light heavyweight who's 2-0-1?
Yeah, they got that wrong, but I'm more of a super middleweight.
Right.
I'm more of a super middleweight.
Okay.
I don't know why they said it on over the weekend, cruiserweight, but no way.
Right, okay. Okay, no, that's fair. I mean, you of course, fighters change a lot in the start of their career and stuff.
Most definitely.
Okay, well, if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, the question which I always like to start off with: why did you start boxing?
I've always loved boxing, and one of the main people that really got me interested in boxing was Muhammad Ali. Watching his documentaries and watching his films and so forth.
Yeah.
My uncle was the one that took me down to Ballon Boxing Gym, and that's where I started out my amateur boxing. I had my first fight in 2012 as an amateur, and I never looked back since. I previously, before boxing, I did athletics. I really loved that. Was my first love, athletics. So yeah.
That's great. And so, throughout your whole amateur experience, what was your biggest achievement?
I think the novice championships from Balham. I was boxing out of Balham, and it was a long time since that championship had been won.
Yeah. So
I think that was one of the biggest things. But I think the biggest thing for me throughout the whole amateur career was just sticking to it. Not falling off, not deterring from it, sticking on it. I feel like that's been the best achievement for me, and that's put me in the position that I'm in now.
Definitely, that's great, and it's nice to see that. Of course, you aren't just thinking about like the belts and stuff like that, but you're more thinking about like the mental side of things.
100%, 100%.
That's great. And so, throughout your amateur time, how many fights did you end up racking up?
If I can know off the top of my head, about 18. 18. A lot of them were in championships and so forth. So that's where I gained a lot of my experience and from. So yeah, and it was just nice traveling. It was what I liked about it. It was nice traveling around to different places, different gyms, because you see different styles of boxing, and it's a lot more different to the pro game, where it's a lot more fast paced, and you don't know who you're fighting. So it's just everyone. It's all for all.
Yeah, definitely. And so you turned pro in, I believe, 2019. And so why did you turn pro when you did?
Why? Well, I thought it was about time. My coach Eyes and I, we sat down, spoke about it, and we thought we made the decision to move over to the professional ranks. I had my first fight as a professional on the 29th. Yeah, the 29th of the 11th, 2019. So yeah, it was good. It was the right move.
Great. And so, I mean, in that time, you kind of had a bit of a break in between your first fight and your second pro fight. If you don't mind saying, why was that?
It was due to COVID. It really knocked a lot. It had a profound effect on sport itself, not just boxing, but everything. Some people were fighting behind closed doors, as like Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren, but people like myself coming up, there wasn't really not much going on. So I think that was the big gap. So when I had my comeback fight in May, it was a little bit, I was out for so long and not being in front of crowds and so forth. It's still something I'm still adjusting to myself, coming back to.
That's fair. And so far you have had the 3 pro fights, and you fought last weekend, am I right in saying?
Yes, correct. I did.
Okay, and so throughout your kind of 3 pro fights, which one would you say you performed your best in?
I would honestly say I've only had 2 pro fights, because it's only 2 people that I fought. I feel the one that I learned the most was my second pro fight. I wouldn't say too much about the third, because it was the same person. So I learned a lot from the fight with Robbie Chapman. And that has a profound experience on
Yeah.
myself. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's like a 33 bouter. You know, I've only had, you know,
Yeah,
2
yeah.
bouts. So I'm quite, in, you know, I pat myself on the back and I give myself incredible, you know, praise for going in there with a person with that amount of experience on me and doing what I had to do.
Definitely, that's great. And so, what is it like working with BLVCK Box Global?
It's amazing. First and foremost, I give so much credit to Dean White and the Black Box family.
Yeah.
They've done an incredible job creating a platform where young talent can come on the platform and showcase. And it's almost like a platform where they can go and achieve other stuff, maybe fight on an Eddie Hearn show or fight on a Frank Warren show. So it's so good to harvest your talent, and it pulls out a great crowd. And all of my supporters and all my fans that come out to watch me, they love the environment. They love the whole atmosphere, and it's really nice.
Definitely, that's great, and it's also good to see that it's a live televised thing, which you don't always see with these kind of lesser big events.
Most definitely, I had people all around the world watching, because I had people in Australia, Africa. So it was amazing for people to tune in and feel like they're there and get that experience and get that feeling that they're there. So I can only praise Dean White, and I can only praise Black Box family for doing their thing, and I always thank them for giving me the opportunity to showcase my talent and come on to the show.
Definitely, that's great. And so, moving back to one of your prior answers, you said that you've been fighting since 2012, so you've been around the space for a long time. And so, what would you say kind of keeps you motivated to carry on fighting?
That's a great question. I think it is the motivation for the next generation, and just always figuring out your why you're doing it. And it's just making sure that I'm being the best that I can be, but also being an advocate for the next generation and even older people, that to show the encouragement, to show the determination, the consistency, and the motivation to not stop. I feel like that's what keeps me going.
Definitely.
To inspire. I think that's the highest currency, to inspire other people or be inspired. So yeah.
That's great. It's something that I don't always hear from kind of like fighters on the come up, to that they kind of think about inspiring the next generation. But no, that's a great thing to be doing, mate.
Oh, thank you very much. Because it does get hard, you know. I wouldn't. Let me just rephrase that. It does get challenging. It does get challenging, because you have to, you know, watch what you eat. You know, run, train, not go out with friends so much. So you're kind of in your own bubble, but you're doing it for a better purpose. So, and to see people see you at the beginning stages and progress. I've seen so many great amateur fighters go on, such as Dan Aziz, such as Craig Richards, such as Joshua Buatsi. You know, I've seen them all in the amateurs, and to see them go on to great things, it's just amazing, and it's so encouraging for people like myself to keep pushing and to keep striving and to keep showing the next generation, if you work with hard work, you can go anywhere, not just in boxing, but just in anything, in business, in life. You know, you've got to keep pushing.
That's great, and I'm sure you are inspiring the next generation. I'm sure the more fights you get, and I mean, if you keep being on the big kind of shows, that message will be kept being spread from you as well, which is great.
Most definitely.
Great. Okay, and so from your last fight, I mean, I suppose unfortunately you did suffer the draw, but what would you kind of say is the next step for you? Where are you trying to go from this?
I think one of my friends asked me that question, the exactly same question, and I didn't see it, like, I didn't feel like I suffered anything. I felt like I've learned something. I saw the lesson in the blessing. You know, I was, you know, nobody really fights the same guy twice unless it's like a belt fight. You know, Robbie Chapman, he's a great fighter. and he's had about 150 rounds,
Yeah.
33 bouts, and on his record, he's got a good resume. He's fought quite experienced people. So what I can take from that is the experience, what he's learned, and I can take all of that into my next fight. So I'll talk with my team, and we'll be back in the new year, and we'll be back and better. So I can only take the positives from it. A lot of different things that I did from the first fight, and most importantly, the fans and the supporters and people, they enjoyed it. It was very entertaining. So I can only take positives, and making sure that, you know, I still came out nice, no cuts, no scrapes. So I'm all good. You know, I think I saw a cut on his eye. You know, so I can only say, you know, I learned a lot of lessons from it.
Great. And so, kind of like of course, you learn a lot of lessons when you're in the fighting, but after the fighting, a lot of fighters, of course, like to watch back their fights. Have you managed to do that yet?
I watched a little bit. And there's a lot that I could take from it. I would have to watch it back again, but I know that I showed something different. Last time I was boxing, this time I said, you know what, I'm going to take it to you. And every single round I was taking it to him. I was coming forward. I was pressing the fight. I wasn't fighting. It didn't hurt me. So I was cool. So I can only take the experience from that. And nobody fights someone like Robbie Chapman twice. And I did that, and that was on my third fight. You know, a lot of people fight Robbie Chapman if they're deeper down in their career, but and I think I'm not mistaken. I think he called out Ben Whittaker. So I was just like, you know, it makes me feel okay, cool. I fought this gentleman twice. So it gives me great pride in myself. I had 3 fights, 2 of the same person, but's got great experience. So I'm happy. I'll stay focused.
That's very credible of you. Of course, like certain fighters, like you said, wouldn't fight somebody like him until a bit further along down the line. But I respect you for kind of accepting these big fights and not kind of ducking out of them.
Yeah, most definitely, because it's easy to look good against an opponent that's not throwing back, and you're not really learning anything. So when you get to that higher stage and you fight somebody who's throwing back as well, now you're in a sticky situation. But I've learned great lessons from it, and I can take great experience from it. And it just shows you my mentality as a person and as a boxer, that I'm not ducking anybody, and I'll continue my path getting to where I need to get to in boxing.
Definitely, that's great. And so, you spoke a little bit about this, but for anybody who's watching this and haven't seen you fight, what would you say kind of makes you interesting as a fighter?
I feel like it's my style, more so my vibe and my character when I get into the ring. It doesn't matter what challenge I'm up against, if it's a big puncher or if it's a quick fighter, I'm able to adapt. I'm deceptively fast, and I've got a fast jab, and so you have to be you have to come and watch, because anything can happen. You know, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I've got a great coach, Eyes, and he gives me all the tools that I need to go and dispatch anybody that I need to go in there with. You know, call me almost like the AA. You know, I've got the tools for the job.
That's great. Okay, and so is there any kind of, like, to lead on from that question, is there any kind of fighter that you would possibly compare yourself to stylistically?
Also, like Andre Ward.
Okay.
I like his mindset when he goes in the ring. He takes his time. He works behind his jab, and he's a great all-round fighter. So I almost say Andre Ward.
Great. Okay, and so you are just at the very beginning of your career, and so how far do you believe you can go?
All the way. You know, my aim is, as every other boxer in the sport, my aim is to become a world champion. But that's the long-term goal. The mid is to become British champion, and the short-term goal is to become Southern Air title champion. So those are my
Yeah,
goals:
yeah.
Southern Air title, British, and then to aim to go for a world title.
Hmm.
And it's not in a sense of getting a world title shot. For me, I've won in my
Mm.
eyes,
Yeah,
you know. And if when you get there, win, lose or draw, you've won because it will be done
yeah,
in the history
definitely.
books that you've done that.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Hmm.
So every journey is you're making a little step and just appreciating where you've come. When you get your first belt, the Southern Air title, you're happy. When you get the British belt, because
Yeah.
that is a prestige belt in
Mm.
British boxing to have
Definitely.
the British belt. So even if I get there and I'm like, you know what, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'll retire from boxing now. I can honestly say, I've got the
Mm.
British title. If I go on to world level, I'll be equally as happy.
Hmm.
So those are my goals in boxing,
Hmm.
and just basically on the way there, helping the
Yeah.
community and helping the next generation of boxers
Hmm.
come through in the sport.
Hmm.
Not just to become professional boxers, but to keep fit, keep their mind healthy, and keep going.
Definitely, it's great. It's a great mindset, a great attitude, and something I love to see, man.
Thank you very much. How
Great.
did you enjoy the fight?
Yes, it was a great fight. I mean, like I said, it's you seem like a very credible guy, and you show that in the ring, and it seems like you will go far in your career.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that you enjoyed the fight.
Definitely. Okay, and so I'll leave it with this final question, which I always like to ask. You've got a little bit of a platform here. Would you like to shout anything out?
Um, First and foremost, I'd like to shout out Blue Jays CAF.
Mm-hmm.
I've just announced on my Instagram that they're my official sponsors. I'd
Great.
like to say big thank you for them. I'd like to shout out Dean
Mm-hmm.
um, for setting up this incredible platform on Black Box Family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to shout out my coach for bringing me this far and the Ace team as well, all
Mm-hmm.
the Ace team. And if anyone wants to follow me, just follow my Instagram.
Mm-hmm. That's
That's
great.
official Ace Adam. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice one. Okay. Well, thank you very much for doing this, mate.
And also, thank you for having me on your platform.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Yes, very much appreciated. I mean, maybe a little bit further along down the line when you're fighting for Southern Area titles, we can come back and do a return interview.
Most definitely, that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Well, if you are new around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you do need like the video, and thanks for watching.